Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be packaging up all of the orders we got over the long Labor Day weekend. Today we do have 19 orders to go and package up, and this was over $400 in revenue. So this wasn't quite the most amount of sales that I've ever gotten a weekend. We had a long weekend quite a few months ago that we actually sold 41 items. We did over $700 in revenue. So if you did the math, I mean, we sold less than half the items in today's video, but we had more than 50% of the revenue. So we did pretty good this weekend. We had a really expensive brand new sealed movie that sold, so that is awesome. I'm glad to be moving more of those. We had a great mix of movies, video games, Pokemon cards, all of that sold over the weekend. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the 19 orders. Okay, so starting off with the very first order here, we have the complete series of Full House. This is one of two copies that I currently have, and the buyer paid $78 for this. So they paid $16.99 for shipping, I believe, and it should cost me around that if I have the right size box. I know it's been a bit of a struggle keeping all the right size boxes. These are really, really thick. Some of the other movies that I send in boxes aren't quite as thick, so I need smaller boxes. So I haven't bought any boxes specifically for each one of the movies in there because they are pretty expensive too if you're only buying a couple at a time. But let's go ahead and see if we have the right size box for this. Okay, so that literally couldn't have worked out better. I had a perfect size Amazon box here. This thing is going nowhere. I did one layer of bubble wrap just to make sure that if it did fall or anything like that, it's fully protected. And we made some good profit on this one. So the buyer paid $78.17. But what we actually collected from eBay after the shipping label, after the advertising fees, after the selling fees was $35.61. For this movie in particular, I paid $9.38 for it, leaving us with a profit of $26.23. What a great start to the day. Next up here, we have WWE Day of Reckoning for the GameCube. This is one of my very few GameCubes. We have 3 more on the shelf there. And with this one, the buyer paid $59.27. We only paid $2.29 for this game, which is just super, super awesome. And we came out with a profit of $38.14 after the shipping label, after the shipping consumables like this envelope and the paper and the eBay fees, the selling fees, all of that. We profited $38.14. Just amazing. So next up for the PlayStation 3, we have a game called Jericho. The buyer paid $32.38. We got this game for $1.97, leaving us with a profit of $16.97. Next up here, we have season 16 of The Simpsons, and I actually remember buying these at a garage sale. This was back months and months ago, so I actually took an offer on this one. I came down a little bit. I think I was asking $29.99, and I accepted an offer for $25. But the order total for the buyer came to $35.26. We paid $5 at a garage sale for these. There was actually one of these that actually sold for like $80+, which was insane. But after the shipping label and all that stuff, we came to a profit of $11.63. Next up here, we've actually sold 2 more Pokemon cards over the weekend. The very first one is actually a promo card, so I did pay a little bit more for it. The buyer ended up paying $4.18. I paid 9 cents for it. The profit came to $1.54. The second one, the buyer ended up paying $4.46 for it. This one was in the original bundle that I bought, so I only paid 2 cents. It was actually more like 1 cent, 1.8 cents. But I just rounded up to 2 cents. The profit came to 93 cents on this one. So still pretty good. I'm happy with that. Next up here, we actually have a copy of Wii Sports, and I picked this one up recently. My cousin was getting rid of some Wii games. He didn't want anything for it, so we actually paid $0 for it. The buyer ended up paying $22.40, and we came out with a profit of $14.63 after paying for the stamp and the envelope and stuff like that. So really good profit. I'm happy that I got this one for free. So unfortunately, I just went back on the footage and I actually recorded the rest of these sales, but I wasn't recording on my computer, so the microphone was not working. So I'm going to go through them here again. I have them all on my piece of paper here. The next one was actually Minecraft. This one sold for $21.68. For some reason, this one I had just a massive amount of lowball offers. I had someone send me an offer for $2 when I was asking $19.99. I have no idea why. I had a couple other people offer me $8, $10, and I declined all of them. The buyer actually paid the asking price of $19.99. We only paid $1.97 for it, and that is leaving us with a profit of $12.99. Chivalry 2 for the Xbox One. This is a loose game. Sold for $21.68. We only paid $2.38 for it. I remember picking this one up. I got a bundle of a bunch of Xbox One games. They were all loose, unfortunately, but it was an Xbox One S, and the guy, for some reason, threw away all the discs, or all the cases, but had the discs. Some of them were a little scratched, but all of them actually played. So we paid $2.38 for it, leaving us a profit of $13.02. Pretty darn good for two loose games, this one and the Minecraft. Next up here, we have 007 for the PlayStation 3. The buyer paid $16.54. I paid $2.21 for it, leaving us with a profit of $7.74. Indiana Jones, we got a Blu-ray here, sold for $16.26. I paid $1.13 for it, which is a little bit more than I like to spend on Blu-rays. I like to stay around that dollar mark, but we ended up profiting $8.73, so it more than worked out here. The Crew 2 for the Xbox One. I've actually had someone message me on Facebook for the last couple of weeks trying to schedule a time to come pick it up, but they kept flaking on me, so I'm glad this one finally sold on eBay. The buyer paid $16.12. I paid $2.17 for it, leaving us with a profit of $7.94. We have another DVD here. $14.80 is what the buyer paid. I paid 83 cents, which for a DVD is actually quite a bit. I have bought some DVDs for, less than 30 cents each, which is just amazing, but we still came out with a profit of $4.77 on this one. Next up here, we have House of Wax. We have another DVD. $11.03 is what the buyer paid. I paid $1.75 for it, leaving us with a profit of only $1.86. So I paid way too much for this movie, but when I am buying big bundles of movies, I'm typically looking for, 1 to 5 movies that I can go and recoup all of my money from. So there was probably a really expensive movie in this bundle that, I sold already for a lot of money, but this one unfortunately didn't make a lot of money. $1.86 profit. The Almighty Comedy Collection, the buyer paid $8.51 for it. I paid $1.14, and our profit was only $1.12. I think this is actually the lowest amount of profit we have on any sale today. Next up, we have FIFA Soccer. This one's for the PlayStation 3. It's actually the only FIFA game that I have for the PlayStation 3. I have quite a few NHLs, I have MLBs, but this was the only FIFA game that I actually have. So this one, the buyer paid $9.19. I paid $1.47 for it, and we were left with a profit of $3.17. We have Layer for the PlayStation 3. $9.84 is what the buyer paid. We paid $2.21, so quite a bit for this one, but we still had a profit of $3.39. Crackdown 2 for the Xbox 360. For some reason, this is the very first copy of Crackdown that I have seen or owned, and I'm really surprised that it was this cheap. I mean, the buyer paid $9.84 for it. Considering that, I've been doing this for 9 months, I've seen so many of the common games, and I kind of know off the top of my head which ones are going to take a while to sell or the estimated value of some of the cheaper ones, but it's just weird that I haven't seen this in 9 months of doing this, and it was still only a $9 game, but we paid $1.44 for it, leaving us with a profit of $3.90. And then our very last sale of the day, this one actually came in when I was recording. We have Carry the Ultimate, or the Special Edition, sold for $14.06 is what the buyer paid. I only paid 67 cents for it, but because it was going to the States and it also sold through a promoted listing, the fees were quite high here. We ended up profiting only $1.17 on this one. So we have made it to the end of the video. Let's go ahead and talk about the numbers. So we did just under $180 in pure profit after all expenses over the long weekend, which is actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. As you guys saw, we sold some trading cards, we sold some Pokemon cards. I'm getting a lot of Pokemon cards and hockey cards listed, so I'm hoping to get a lot more sales over the next coming weeks and months. It's going to be obviously a lot less revenue from those because the cards sell for, after shipping and taxes and stuff like that. People typically pay $4 for them, but I'm hoping to drive a lot more sales to my account. This is also going to result in more feedback, and I send the cards very, very well. I have rigid cardboard envelopes. I have penny sleeves, top loaders, all of this for very, very cheap cards. So I think this is really going to boost my feedback. I have 100% positive feedback right now with about 230 reviews, and I plan to go ahead and get a lot more from these cards. I also want to go ahead and start buying more video games. I feel like I've been slacking a lot on that. It's just been really difficult to find great deals on Facebook lately. There's a lot of smaller bundles, but it's just not worth my time to drive across the city, you know, 20 minutes one way to go ahead and pick up a handful of games that I may be able to profit $20 on, because you got to factor in the gas, you got to factor in the time that it's taken to drive over there, and then also listing it. So I'm really trying to find an alternative solution to Facebook Marketplace. I'm trying to buy as much inventory online as I possibly can, but shipping is just so expensive. But if you guys enjoyed another video where we went ahead and packaged up all of the orders over the weekend, go ahead and smash that like button and leave a comment down below letting me know what you guys got up to over the Labor Day long weekend. Thank you so much, and I will catch you guys in the next video.